What's going on, guys? Welcome to the next movie review on the Josh Nader channel. So I just want to explain something real quick before I get started with the review for today, because my Dark Phoenix review got taken down yesterday by Fox, and was a little confused about it because I'm pretty sure it was compliant with the fair use code on YouTube, and I'm not sure why it was taken down, but I re-uploaded it with shorter clips from the movie's trailer, and hopefully now that video will stay up on YouTube. With that said, let's talk about today's movie. So, with The Rise of Skywalker coming out in December, I thought it would be fitting to review both of the other movies in the trilogy that have come out thus far, and that leads us to The Force Awakens. Now, I was a huge Star Wars fan when I was a little kid. I would even rewatch the prequels, as bad as they were, just because I couldn't get enough of Jedi swinging lightsabers around. So, needless to say, I was very excited for this movie when it came out, and did it deliver for me? Absolutely. This film revived the Star Wars franchise in ways that I couldn't comprehend at the time. Yeah, there's definitely a little bit of a Disney feel to it. It has a lot of Marvel's humor kind of adopted into it, and it has a huge reliance on CGI, but these are both elements that I think are welcome and fitting to the Star Wars universe, and they didn't bother me all that much. Quite possibly the biggest surprise in this movie for me were the characters. The characters were so interesting. Not only were Rey and Finn great protagonists to carry the story along, but I think the most compelling one for me was Kylo Ren and his conflicted past and his relation to Han Solo and everything. Now, I know you can compare this movie a lot to A New Hope. They did kind of have a similar structure and plot, but for me, this was still a very entertaining ride because it brought in new characters that were way better than most of the people we got in the prequel movies. There was no Jar Jar Binks, thank God. And BB-8 was cool, Poe was great, there's just so many interjected characters in here, and we get some Stormtrooper action. The third act of this movie also made my jaw drop to the floor several times. Now, I know there's a lot of people that think that maybe the Han Solo death wasn't handled very well, but I could not disagree more. I thought it really brought the stakes up in these movies and reminded me that they can still surprise me sometimes, which was very pleasing. There's a huge sense of wonder just throughout this movie, because you're given throughout it hints of Rey's heritage and how she might be able to use the Force. And that's kind of a part of the wonder, and you know, it's what makes us kind of want the next movie and want to see where the story goes from here. So I'm hoping they can change things up a little and don't just repeat the whole Luke Skywalker training thing. Of course, that's kind of a little bit of what we got in The Last Jedi, but that's for a different video. Right now I want to stick to The Force Awakens. Now let's get out of the way the one weak element that I thought was in this movie, and that is when they all kind of are in the Millennium Falcon and they travel to Maz Kanata's cantina. The film kind of slows to a crawl there for a while, and they're all just kind of talking. At least we get a few moments of Rey, you know, kind of questioning her heritage when she touches Luke's lightsaber. It was a cool scene, and there's definitely a little bit of ambiguity to, you know, who can use the Force in this movie, because I always thought that you had to use the Force to actually wield a lightsaber, but then we have Finn running around killing stormtroopers with one, and I don't know, you know, maybe you don't have to be a Force user, maybe he is, and we just don't know yet. We will have to see. But overall, that whole scene in the cantina was the weakest part for me. The rest of it is just filled with fantastic visuals. You get a lot of callbacks to the old movies in both good ways, and there's a few silly ones too. But overall, it was great to see Han Solo come back and Chewie, and at the very end we get a glimpse of Luke Skywalker, and I was fine with him not being in this movie, you know, in its entirety, and just getting a little cameo at the end, because it was an alright cliffhanger, you know, it gets you excited for the next movie. Now, although I definitely didn't think this was as good as A New Hope or The Empire Strikes Back, it's definitely the best movie since Return of the Jedi at the very least, and I'm definitely really excited to see what they do with The Rise of Skywalker, so yeah, we're going to review The Last Jedi sometime in the next week, and I'll upload that as well. But for now, let's get to the consensus on The Force Awakens. Despite being a bit predictable, as a Star Wars fan, I have to appreciate this movie for its ambitions and, you know, reviving the franchise with a lot of fun and wit along the way. So I'm going to give The Force Awakens a 9 out of 10. Very well earned. And I just rewatched The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi in preparation for doing these reviews, so I have them all fresh in my mind. So just know that I'm not going off of opinions that, you know, I had from 4 years ago. Now I want to know what you guys think of this movie. Let me know in the comments what you think of The Force Awakens. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next review.